I would like to call to order the regular governing board meeting of the Jefferson Elementary School District for April 20th, 2022. I just want to make a note too that there is an overflow room for members of the public who cannot sit in this room if they like to attend the meeting. The meeting will also be live cast in that other room as well too. First item is members present. May I please get members present?
Manufo Leah Inga Anawai is absent. Marie Brizuela. Here. Andrea Jordan.
Here.
Shaquille Ali is not present. Clayton Koo.
Here. Next is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Vidalis, could you lead us in tonight's pledge?
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is approval of the agenda. I was asked to pull item 7D from tonight's agenda.
Did you say item 7?
7D. Next page. D, 7D.
This one? Okay.
Cool.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the amendment of removal of item 7D from the agenda.
First and a second, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That was unanimous. Next is item 5, communications, board member acknowledgement and commendations. I will start off to my right.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say that I attended the art fair, which was absolutely, oh, sorry. Can you hear me? I just wanted to say I attended the art fair that was held. I have a copy of this. It was amazing. The artwork was way over the hill. It was beautiful. And I think the children did a wonderful job, and I want to thank everyone who participated. They even had live performance, and it was great. And I just wanted to say how happy it looked that everybody was so glad to be all together, doing one thing. And the artwork was just amazing, what they had done with being so creative. And I thought it was great. So thank you so much for everyone who partaked in this. It was great.
I'd like to echo Trustee Brizuela's comments. I also attended the art fair, and I know in the past years we haven't been able to do one because of the pandemic, and so it was really great to be there in person, see teachers and students and their families, and obviously the artwork from all of our schools. So thank you to the staff and everyone who was able to pull that together. We are in the final weeks of our school year, and so I just want to acknowledge, everyone's efforts. I know it's been an interesting year coming back fully into, non-distance learning and navigating that. And so just thank you to everyone that has been able to weather that storm. And we're hopefully going to continue to come out of this in that way. Also want to thank the district for putting out the newsletter today and obviously communicating with our community and our district just to let them know what's coming up and what to expect. I know that certain emails have also gone out about summer programs for our students, and so just want to make sure that that is also being noted for our families out there that are listening to ensure that they're paying attention to that as well. And thank you. I'm looking forward to this evening.
Cool. Thank you. I also attended the art fair last night. I thought everyone did a great job. It was great to see everybody back at a district-wide event in 2 years. So just want to thank everybody who made that possible. I also wanted to acknowledge on Monday I attended the San Mateo County School Board Association meeting. It was a great hour-and-a-half just session hearing from the Ravenswood School District, the Jefferson Union High School District, and the San Mateo County Office of Education in regards to educator programs to try to recruit educators throughout the county, whether it's through workforce housing or through sort of specific school district initiatives. So just want to commend them for that. And then lastly, I wanted to make a note congratulating the district for receiving an award yesterday from the Peninsula Clean Energy for the solar efforts in our workforce housing project. So just want to commend the district and the staff for making that possible too. Next is item 5B, Superintendent Commons.
Yeah, so I want to just give a little more background on the Peninsula Clean Energy. We were awarded the Electrification Leaders Award. We were nominated by the architects of the workforce housing project and the electrical engineer for making a completely electric housing development. So Peninsula Clean Energy awarded us that, and tied with that is sort of nice that we are very close to actually breaking ground. We thought we were going to be doing this last fall, but things kept getting delayed, and we're within weeks. So I will let board know when it happens. You might want to put a shovel in the ground on the day that it happens for real. So I'll let you know. Also, the art fair, want to thank Ms. Megan Jennings, who is the assistant principal at TRP, for organizing it and getting all of the art pieces together. And she had many wonderful supporters and helpers, one of who's here today, Mr. John Hopkins, who will be speaking later. And was it so wonderful because it was the first event we've had in 2 years in person, and it just made it so special. Part of it is that, but also I think Ms. Jennings did a great job at organizing it, setting it up, and making it a safe environment for all of us to feel comfortable. Every door was open, and people were encouraged and strongly recommended to wear their mask, and almost everybody did. So it was just very nice. And as far as COVID goes, we were a little concerned last week. We did see a little bit of a spike post-spring break, and much of that is probably due to not catching cases the week before and, doubling up on cases the following week. So, but it seems to have slowed this week. I'm certainly not getting notifications of positive pools in our district like I did last week. Schools that last week had several positive pools this week have 0. So that's encouraging to hear. Staying in school keeps cases down, I guess. I don't know. Certainly keeps people away, keep people engaged in school settings versus more informal home and household settings. So we're excited about that. We're watching it very closely. We certainly want everyone who is able to get their vaccination, and those who are eligible to get their boosters. There's protective factors there, and the county is not seeing a rise in their hospitalizations, and which is a metric that is now being followed versus the number of cases. So, all right, thank you very much.
Cool, thank you. Next item is item 6A, consent agenda. The administration recommends approval of the starred items on the rest of the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve those.
Second.
First and second, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Next item is item 6C, resolution number 22-04-20, Classified Administrative Professionals Day. The administration recommends adoption of resolution number 22-04-20, recognizing April 27th, 2022 as Classified Administrative Professionals Day. Ms. Fidelis.
Yes, so the next few items, April, May, are traditionally months where we recognize different classes and different employees in our school setting. And so we like to put out the proclamation that the board passes so that school sites can organize around that and recognize that at their school site.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 22-04-20, recognizing April 27th as Classified Administrative Professionals Day.
I'll second the motion.
There's a first and a second. May I please get a roll call?
Mrs. Brizuela,
Aye.
Ms. Jordan,
Aye.
Mr. Koo.
Aye, that was unanimous. And thank you so much on behalf of the board for all of your work for our district. Next is item 6D, resolution number 22-04-20A, National and California Day of the Teacher. The administration recommends adoption of resolution number 22-04-20A, recognizing May 3rd, 2022 as National Teacher Appreciation Day and May 11th, 2022 as California Day of the Teacher. Ms. Fidelis, any other comments? Okay.
I was just going to say every day is Teacher Appreciation Day. However, if we need to set a specific day, I make a motion for the resolution number 22-04-20A, recognizing May 3rd as National Teacher Appreciation Day and May 11th as California Day of the Teacher.
Second that motion.
There's a first and a second. May I please get a roll call?
Mrs. Brizuela,
Aye.
Ms. Jordan,
Aye.
Mr. Koo.
Aye, that was unanimous. And once again, thank you to all of our teachers every day for what they do for our district. Next item is item 6E, resolution number 22-04-20B, National School Nurse Day. The administration recommends adoption of resolution number 22-04-20B, recognizing May 11th, 2022 as National School Nurse Day.
I'll make the motion that we adopt resolution 22-04-20B. Sorry. Carry it down here. Okay, I just made a motion. Is it this one here? For the nurses? Yeah. Okay, resolution 22 for, I'm sorry. Yeah, for 20B, National School Nurse Day.
I second that motion.
First and second, may I please get a roll call?
Mrs. Brizuela,
Aye.
Ms. Jordan,
Aye.
Mr. Koo.
Aye, that was unanimous. And again, thank you to all of our nurses for all their service for our district as well too every day. Next item 6I, Citizens Bond Oversight Committee Annual Report. Rosie Tejada, Chair of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, will present the annual report to the board.
Good evening. So Ms. Tejada couldn't make it tonight. She couldn't make it. So we have other members of the Citizen Oversight Committee here to present the report.
Good evening. It's been a long time since Rosie couldn't make it, and she regrets that she couldn't be here tonight. I, as Vice President of the Citizens Oversight Committee, will fill in for her. But I'd also like to acknowledge Marianne Saki, who is a fellow committee member, and she is also present in the audience tonight. There she is. This report was filed April 20th for tonight's meeting. Report to Jefferson Elementary School District Board of Trustees. As required by the statutes and bylaws of the Measures I and U bond election and Measure T parcel tax election, the city's Oversight Committee is pleased to provide our annual report to the Board of Trustees of the Jefferson Elementary School District. Members of the committee are Tony Bayuden, Pamela Di Giovanni, Thomas A. Nuris, Lillian Pena, Marian Saki, Rosie Tejada, and myself, Adrienne Zanini. On July 21st, 2021, the committee met to review current Measure I and U expenditures and discuss the progress of the Fernando Rivera new classroom and restroom wing, the central kitchen walk-in freezer. student drop-off at Garden Village, student drop-off and staff parking at MP Brown, general Pershing ADA compliant ramp, safety improvement at Woodrow Wilson, maintenance and operations yard improvement, Ben Franklin Newfield Turf Project, fencing at Benjamin Franklin, and the Workforce Housing Project. On November 3rd, 2021, the committee met to review current expenditures and discuss the progress of the student drop-off at Garden Village, student drop-off and staff parking at MP Brown, fencing at Woodrow Wilson, and the Workforce Housing Project. Ms. Kessler, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, announced her retirement in December 2021 and thanked the committee for its service. On February 16th, 2022, the committee met to review current expenditures and discuss the progress of the Workforce Housing Project. Student drop-off and staff parking at MP Brown, Newfield Turf at Benjamin Franklin. Tony Bayuden was elected as committee secretary. Additionally, the committee reviewed the annual independent financial and performance audit reports for measures I and U as presented by Ahmad Garibay, partner with Eid Bailey, LLP. The committee then reviewed the 2021 parcel tax expenditures to determine if the expenditures were in line with the Measure T ballot language. Based on our review and observations, the Citizens Oversight Committee finds that the district is in compliance with the requirements of Article 13A, Section 1B3 of the California Constitution, and that measures I and U bond funds are being used for the purposes specified in the ballot languages. Additionally, the committee finds that the 2021 Measure T parcel tax expenditures are in line with the associated ballot language. The committee is pleased with the district's performance on the modernization bond program to date and looks forward to the successful completion of the 2022 projects. Respectfully submitted, Rosie Tejeda, Chair, and I'm presenting. Thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you very much. Any comments or questions from board members?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much to the rest of the committee as well, and thank you for your service for our district as well. So moving along, next item is item 7E, Technology and Curriculum Integration Department updates. Ms. Toni Baroni, Director of Technology and Curriculum Integration, will provide updates on Technology Department progress and initiatives. Good evening, Ms. Baroni.
Hi. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you about all of the wonderful work that's being done throughout the district in technology. And I speak on behalf of just an extraordinary group in our department of people and professionals who make a tremendous amount of work happen on a daily basis. I'm also going to be joined in a few minutes by two of our site tech leads, and I'll introduce them in a minute so they can actually show you how this all looks in the classroom. All of the work we do is in support of these 4 goals from our educational technology plan. There is just the major infrastructure that we deal with every day to make sure that technology is available to all students, all staff, in every place that they need to be teaching and be learning. We also focus our curriculum on how we can support our mission in having our students be respectful users of this technology and the access that they have. Our goals are for our students is really to focus on deeper learning and not just using technology for technology's sake, but you'll see some examples later on of how students are really engaging with information and having opportunities to create in new and different ways. And ultimately, our goal is that our students leave here in 8th grade as confident learners to go on to whatever it is they're going to do after they leave our district. We need adjustable goose eggs for the shorter people in the district. So last time I spoke to you, I realized was 2 years ago, almost to this week, when we were right in the height of distance learning happening, and we were in the throes of so much of that whirlwind of how we had to pivot to distance learning in a matter of a few days. So I just wanted to share some updates about what we've done since then and where we are now and where we're going to go in the future. I'm really trying to focus on some of the benefits of that craziness that happened in those weeks. And I think one of the biggest one is we were able to realize our goal of every child having a device all day long for whenever they need it. That was something that was always out in the future, and distance learning certainly made that a priority. And we were fortunate to have many different funding sources, so we were able to realize that. So all of our students in our primary grade classrooms have access to an iPad at school, and then all of our students in second and up have access to a Chromebook, so that if they need access at home, we have that built in and we don't have to do all the work that we did a couple years ago. So it's exciting to see our teachers have that access all day and not have to worry about sharing a card or planning their instruction around when students have that access. We are continuing with all the technology tools that we added during distance learning because we really found, looking at the data, that they were being used and used effectively. And so we've been able to continue with those as well. You maybe remember the data from before. We went from about 350 hotspots that we provided during distance learning, and now we're back to pre-pandemic levels of about 35 families who really need that support at home. And so we constantly monitor that, working with the Student Services Department for our families who are in most need, making sure they have hotspots if they need it, if families need additional Chromebooks, and whatever support students need to be successful at home as well. One of the other really bright spots from the pandemic is our instructional classified staff became really partners with the teachers they were working with. And so we realized they needed access to all of the instructional materials that the classroom teachers had. So we've been able to provide laptops to all of our instructional classified staff as well, so they can work hand in hand with the teachers that they're supporting as well, really as partners in the classroom to support students. And I'll talk about this more in a bit, but you know, pre-pandemic, having meetings on Zoom, like nobody ever wanted to go to a meeting on Zoom. It was like, oh, we want to come here and have a meeting in this room. And, you know, we all got so used to it. And so we continue with offering those hybrid opportunities for meetings and professional development, and really figuring out what's the most efficient and effective way to deliver that content. So that's something we've continued with. And then, as I said earlier, we just support our families who are still in need on a case-by-case basis and determine what they need and how we can support them with all of these digital tools. This is a slide I always like to share. These questions are part of the LCAP Panorama Survey, so we do ask them every year. You will notice a little blip in 2020 because these questions weren't asked last year because we did a modified survey. So for the most part, you can definitely see a trend of computers used daily in class. These are our middle school students. When we first started with technology, it was at 42%, and now we're at 91% of our students reporting that they use technology on a daily basis. The other question about do they feel they're better learners having access to these computers? You could see we were also making strides there and took a little bit of a dip this year. So we just did the survey, so we're still trying to unpack what this might mean. Could be some post-pandemic of kids having to do everything online and what that looks like coming back. But I thought that was an interesting data point, as well as the next one, asking students if they feel more involved in class when they use computers. And again, it was on the upswing and then also took a little bit of a dip this year. So definitely some questions we're going to be looking into. If you go to the next slide, it's almost identical, and these are for our upper elementary grades as well. You know, I mean, we've definitely started to speculate. We haven't had robust professional development in the last year and a half, so that may have something to do with it, but it's certainly something that we're going to look into a little bit more deeply. So what's next? In the spirit of capitalizing on what we've learned, we have been working on building out our own Jesd online learning platform. You know, there's lots of courses online. Some of it's good, some of it's not so good. So we really wanted the opportunity to be able to develop our own content for teachers. And so we are going to be, excuse me, launching in the fall our own version of Canvas, which is going to be a learning management system for professional development. And it will have just a variety of courses that support our initiatives. So we will have the option of doing online courses as well as face-to-face professional development as well. Oh, can you go back? We were building up some robust maker spaces before distance learning, which didn't really translate well to distance learning. So we're in the process of pulling out all that amazing equipment from the closets and trying to revision and rebuild what that's going to look like. We're also expanding our STEAM and computer science electives for middle school. And then you're going to learn about in a bit, we have brought in a variety of interactive learning tools for our students. And so we're continuing to look at how we really build that engagement with the tools that we provide for the classrooms. And then finally, you approved, I think at our last meeting, if not the one before, we will be upgrading our entire wireless network to be what they call Wi-Fi 6 capable, which will be faster, more reliable. What we've noticed is on a daily basis, we have double the amount of users that we had last year every day. So we just want to make sure that we're keeping pace with that so that we have an infrastructure that will support all of these tools. Now I'm good. Thanks. This is also pulled from our tech plan that, as we plan and as we make decisions, we always keep in mind how technology can really support teachers' teaching and students' learning, and how they can become creative thinkers, problem solvers, and collaborative learners. And so I really wanted the opportunity for you to hear from a couple of our teachers. If you want to go to the next slide. Thanks. So you can get a sense of what this looks like in the classroom. So I've invited two of our site tech leads. John Hopkins is a third grade teacher and Tiffany Chan is a first grade teacher at Daniel Webster. And they're just going to share with you a bit about how they've used these tools and how it's really impacted their instruction. So I'd like to introduce them and hand it over to them.
Hello, board members. My name is John Hopkins. I'm just going to show you kind of how we're using the technology in the classroom. I'm going to be talking about specifically BenQ board that I have in my classroom. We're piloting a few this year at our site. So we have 3 right now, and we just purchased 3 more for next year. So every grade level will have one. And it's basically like an interactive whiteboard. And there's a lot of different features you could use that as a teacher, it makes things a lot more efficient, dynamic when you're presenting, and then there's a lot of features that the students can use as well that are engaging. This is just a clip of a few of my kids using it today. So the way it's set up right now, there's like 3 different whiteboards that they can use, and they're all doing the same math problem and showing their work in 3 different ways. And then they can choose like what color they want to use. They can choose like what kind of, and they're just using their finger. So you don't need like any sort of writing utensil on it. And this clip is just me using it. And it's part of our math curriculum. So what I do is I project it onto there through my computer. So I bring up like one of the student book pages on my computer. So this is the page they're also doing in class. And then I can like kind of annotate, I can add things, I can move it around. So I'm just showing how I'm doing like a quick lesson about elapsed time. And then what you can also do is there's a record function on it. So I present the lesson and then I press record before it. And then what it does, it records my voice doing the lesson, it records all my movements on the screen. And then, so if there's a kid at home who's absent, missed a day, or if we ever have to go back to, God forbid, if we have to go back to distance learning, it's really useful. You can just push it out, whatever lessons you're doing, and it just saves onto my Google Drive. My colleague Tiffany Chan is going to talk about something she's using called Seesaw.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tiffany. Sorry, I'm also on the shorter side, so I hope you can hear me. Seesaw was something we used a lot during distance learning, but I use it a lot in the class as an extra curricular or as an early finisher activity here on this slide, you can see a few things I've already assigned to my class. We're currently learning about money, and we have some grammar. The nice thing is this blue button in the activities tab lets you find activities already created. So this is the tab for the activity library, and you can search by skill. You can type in the standard. There are teachers out there who already have all the work you might be looking for digitized. And so you don't have to make your own if you feel like it's too much work. Here I have a fun activity I do every Friday. I try to give them a little bit of enrichment by posting a podcast about whatever we may be learning. This week we've been learning about space. So I gave them 2 options to listen to, 2 different children-friendly podcasts, one about Saturn and one about the asteroid that hit the dinosaurs. And so they have a choice. And this function that lets me copy and edit, I can copy and edit my Friday activity every Friday and just change the link. So I don't have to make the activity over and over again when the instructions are the same. Another thing that I invested a lot of time in last year was I created a Jefferson website using Google Sites. This allowed parents and students to access a lot of resources, and it helped answer a lot of questions that I didn't have to answer every day. The thing I wanted to point out, though, is my co-host Suzanne Short and I committed a lot of time in the digital library. So if you see here, we compiled read-alouds that we recorded, we videotaped us reading these books. And every month we had a theme, and we filled those bookshelves so that students had someone to read to them, even though last year they might have been at home the whole time. And so now that we've created this, it's there forever. As long as we don't delete our videos, the students can listen to these read-alouds for all year long. All right, thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Just a glimpse into their classrooms. If you were ever at Daniel Webster, I'm sure they'd be happy for you to knock on the door, because it is always, I learn something every time. And there's so many teachers doing extraordinary work, but I invited them because we were at a meeting the other day and they were just rattling all these things off that they were doing. And I was like, you know, more people need to hear about what you're doing. So thank you for coming and sharing. That's the end of my presentation. So thank you for the opportunity. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Cool. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
Thank you.
I had a question. You were talking about the recorded lessons, and you were also talking about utilizing, I guess, Seesaw and updating the podcast. For the children that are in your classroom, do they all have devices still at home now, or can they access those read-alouds and other items from other devices with their login for the school? I'm assuming yes.
That's a great
correct?
question. Yeah, everything is in the cloud, if you will, so it can all be accessed from any device, even a phone. So it doesn't require that they have the equipment that we have at school.
Perfect. And then I guess the other question I had is, I know that if they're on a device while instruction is happening, how are we ensuring that they're not getting distracted with other apps while the instruction is happening?
Yeah, I mean, and that's something we are challenged with every day. I mean, we use all of our instructional strategies, you know, of proximity and looking at different areas, being in different areas of the classroom so we can see what students are doing. We do have some visibility with the tools that we have so that we can actually see what's on student screens, to be able to monitor that as well. But, you know, I've always been a proponent of education over the technology being the fix to that. And it really goes back to being those responsible citizens of being focused on what you need to be focused on and not having YouTube opened and have your music going while you're trying to listen to. And I know that is a support for some kids, but, you know, no technology in the world is going to prevent that. So we just really focus on education and, you know, to being on the task at hand. So.
Perfect. And I appreciate, again, I have children in the district, so
Yeah.
these are challenges that I experience myself. My daughter has used Seesaw. We've, having all these conversations. And when we talk about the read alouds, I know I just got approached by the Tobias community to do a read aloud for them. And I actually said that I would. And so I do think that's super awesome that we are able to give something back to the kids when they're not in the classroom. So I just really want to say thank you for all the hard work that you've done and again for the presentation tonight.
Yeah, and I also appreciate the work that they put in because there's so many read alouds online, but I think there's something special when you hear your teacher's voice and having that close connection. So even when you don't physically see your teacher, you still feel like you're connected. So that's great.
I was going to say thank you for the presentation. I actually just had a general question. I realized you mentioned in the presentation a list of sort of what's next. I was wondering sort of what are some of those kind of, even beyond the what's next, like what are some of those technology that we can offer our teachers and our staff or to our sort of our district as a whole that could sort of make make education a little bit more, even more tech friendly or more accessible to everybody. I was wondering if you had anything that you guys were looking more into.
Yeah, I think the big moving forward is what we've always tried to do is have less apps that we get more mileage from, right? Because, it's a lot for teachers to learn a lot of different apps where you do maybe one specific thing on. So we've always done training on those apps that, if you will, we get a lot of mileage out of where you can use a lot. So kids also become very familiar with them and they're not having to continually learn new things. So I feel like the basics was our goal to get the basics covered. And now our task really is going to be to really lean in and really hone in. So computer science is going to be the next big push for us. Really from a TK through 8 perspective, it will look very different, but whether it's a makerspace or computer science or a coding elective or how we're going to look at that, but that's going to be our focus is really thinking about what that could look like. We're also working closely with our high school partners with CTE and what those pathways will look like in terms of computer science and technology and how we can really support our kids as they move forward into the high school district and open up their options for coursework there as well.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think that's it. Thank you so much for the presentation tonight. Next item is item 7F, Ethnic Studies Update. Ms. Pamela Scott, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services and staff will share progress on the development of both elementary and middle school curriculums and offer suggestions for next steps to create a systemic and sustainable implementation.
So we don't have Ms. Pamela Scott. We have Ms. Stephanie Martinez, and you're all familiar with her, so I'll let her take it from here.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Stephanie Martinez, Program Director of Student Services for the district, and part of my role, I get the honor and benefit of overseeing ethnic studies for our district. So I'm here today with many of our members, but 2 presenters representing each of the working groups. I have Kevin Owens representing our middle school work group, and I have Marianne Piance representing our elementary group today. So I'm going to have them do an overview of what happened this year, what we've learned, where we're going next, and then I'll provide some district updates after.
Good evening. As Stephanie said, my name is Kevin Owens. I'm a math and ethnic studies teacher at TRP. And up here, we just have the vision for ethnic studies and JESD. This is something that you've all seen before. So it's really just an overview and for reference. The elementary school cohort has adopted a very similar unit, scope, and sequence of self and systems, self and stories, systems, social movements, and solidarity. So here's some curriculum updates. All of the sites were piloting this curriculum and attempted to deliver as much of the 4 units as possible in the time frame allowed. Due to differences in scheduling, we were able to try out multiple forms of implementation of the curriculum at the different school sites. So as you can see, TRP and Ben Franklin had year-long classes. TRP, 102 students received ethnic studies instruction this year. At Ben Franklin, it was 43 students. Fernando Rivera had semester-long classes, and over the course of the year, 137 students will get ethnic studies instruction. At FDR, they're on the trimester schedule, and they had a different class each trimester for a total of about 45 students over the course of the year. Our findings were that a year-long ethnic studies course provided more time to cover the curriculum and allowed students to gain a deeper understanding of the content, as well as to build a much stronger classroom community. Some of the challenges that we found was about finding and training teachers to adequately teach ethnic studies. Over the course of this program, 13 teachers participated, yet only 6 remain as participants. It is a lot of work that we've put into this over the course of the last couple years, and this increased workload is a lot for teachers. The COVID-19 pandemic and its impacts have affected the working group. We've actually met in person, I think 3 or 4 times since the fall of 2019. Identifying goals and resources through the LCAP to sustain the work of the committee. And then scheduling and staffing is different at each site. So there are different challenges across the district to be able to deliver this effectively. Here's some successful outcomes that are from the student perspective. These are quotes all from students, and there's a general trend that you'll see. Students seem to find the academic material relevant to their own experiences and their own lives. As one student said, you get to talk about your history, and there's no right or wrong answer. You get to talk to other people that know what you're going through and just be free with your thoughts. Additionally, students reported feeling more comfortable taking academic risks than in other classes, and this is due in part to the community building aspect, which is vital for ethnic studies. I like ethnic studies because it really makes me feel comfortable around people. Ethnic studies is way different from our other classes because we feel a sense of comfort in the class where I can say and think whatever. I like how ethnic studies help open me up about myself in a comfortable way and learning things I wouldn't learn in other classes. I like how ethnic studies is different than other classes and how we can all work and talk more together in this class. I like it because you can form any opinion you want and you won't get judged. Also, so as you can see, coming out of a year of distance learning, the social and emotional benefits of the ethnic studies class and our commitment to community building within those classes is really, really important. You can really see this, and there'll be a video in a few minutes that you'll hear this from the students as well. And then from the staff perspective, all of the teachers that have stuck with the program had very positive things to say about it. Ethnic studies teachers favorably reported about their collaboration with their colleagues and the professional development sessions with community responsive education. This next quote I will read is from Florlyn Orozco Castillo. She is a teacher at Fernando Rivera. Through this collaborative work with the middle school teachers and CRE team, ethnic studies has been the figurative bright light at the end of the seemingly meek and often lonely tunnel. The PDs we received from CRE were pivotal in diving deeper into my own understanding of ethnic studies and in allowing me to see my purpose in this work as a facilitator of culturally responsive dialogue with young people through an anti-racist lens. I am not only more knowledgeable about the pedagogy of ethnic studies, but I feel like I have the proper tools to critically analyze, teach, and empower my students, most of whom have never seen themselves as powerful individuals. These students who, in learning about themselves and each other, in learning about the institutions and spaces they occupy and take part in, and in learning about the social movements of the past and present, have flourished and thrived. They will come together in solidarity to make positive changes for the future. This is ethnic studies. I am ethnic studies. Our next quote is from Matthew Roberto, who is teaching ethnic studies and social studies at Ben Franklin. Our professional development is the most organized, thought-provoking, important training for a profession that I've ever experienced in my 44 years of working. I've worked at the Jewish Community Center, YMCA, University High School, St. Ignatius College Prep, and the Boys and Girls Club as a coach, youth developer, educational tutor, and mentor. Not to mention, this is my 8th year at Ben Franklin. The professors and consultants at CRE have been instrumental in my learning, collaboration, professionalism, and confidence as a teacher. The CRE professors are motivated and passionate, and they've made me a better teacher and person. I really cannot thank them enough for this opportunity and support. And for me personally, I echo everything that they said. This experience of getting involved in ethnic studies has been the most transformative experience of my life, both personally and professionally. All the work that Allison Chinchanga-Kubalis and Raju Desai and all the other amazing people have done at CRE has been invaluable in helping me improve my pedagogy to be a better teacher. Through working with CRE, I've not only become a better ethnic studies teacher, but I've become a better math teacher as well. The impact of getting involved in ethnic studies goes far beyond just that course. And I think that ethnic studies is a really strong vision forward for what JESD believes education can be and what it should be. Thank you. Here's a video from some of my students.
All right. Good evening, board. My name is Marian Piance. I teach third grade at George Washington Elementary School. I'm speaking on behalf of the elementary school teachers in the ethnic studies team this year, many of whom are present in the crowd. Curriculum development and focus. So JESD teachers are working in grade level groups. So right now we're at the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade level to develop the scope and sequence of the units and start to plan out weekly lessons. And we're looking at cross grade level themes. So right now, because we have 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, third grade is focused on local, 4th grade is focused on state, and 5th grade is focused on national. We have 4 units that we're focused on in conjunction with middle school. So self and stories, systems, 4 eyes of oppression, which are ideological, institutional, interpersonal, and internalized. Social movements, and some of the ideas we've been looking at are the farm labor movement and civil rights movement. And our 4th unit would be solidarity. So how do we show unity between ourselves and our communities to support and uplift one another? Our current curriculum delivery models, so we're looking at teaching twice a week for about 45 minutes by the current staff participating in the group, and each unit will lead to a final project roughly about 4 to 5 weeks after we've taught the lessons within that unit. staff development in 2021, 2022. So since the beginning of this school year, we've had monthly meetings for about 2 hours per meeting with the CRE team, discussing themes to be taught, writing curriculum, and also putting ourselves in the perspective of students. I think finding ourselves in a vulnerable spot and being able to share our experiences with each other helps us to be stronger as educators when we teach this curriculum. Challenges at this time, curriculum development is in its early stages because we are going to pilot next year, so we do expect roadblocks. Recruitment and representation need to be achieved across all elementary sites. Ideally, we'd love to have ethnic studies represented at all of our elementary schools. Also, COVID-19 social impact affects the working group. We have been meeting primarily on Zoom, although I think it'd be great for us to meet in person because I think kind of the bond and the work that we do is really strong, being able to work in the same room. And I have some teacher testimonials. On the bottom right corner, you'll see a screenshot of a Zoom from our most recent meeting. So the first is from Zoe Marinkovich. She's a 5th grade teacher. I have seen firsthand the impact of ethnic studies and other programs. Students of color that are used to learning the history of white America are amazed, inspired, and energized when they see themselves in their curriculum for the first time. They suddenly feel connected to what they are learning and therefore connected to their schooling. 4th grade teacher Anushka Takla. So she showed her class a video on YouTube entitled "What is Ethnic Studies?" and then asked them afterwards, "What does ethnic studies mean to you?" And so these are direct quotes from several of her students. "We are civil rights leaders. Put us in history. No racism. Don't think one gender is better. Your story is important. They didn't think they were going to be where they are now. Your family is also part of ethnic studies, and ethnic studies is you." Rebecca Balistieri, she's a 4th grade teacher. "I would like them to develop a fuller understanding of who they are and understand the power that individuals and groups have had in making societal change." Jermel Ari, and I have the beginning of that quote here. So it starts with, "As a Filipina American educator, it is important to me that my students see themselves reflected in what they are learning. It serves as a reminder the importance of being intentional and to be more critical and to continue and develop and strengthen relationships with my students and the community." And I have one last testimonial from Catherine Harsono. She's a 4th grade teacher. "It was definitely a wonderful and uplifting experience to collaboratively work with like-minded educators, having the goal to foster and create a safe and supportive learning environment for all students, and to develop an ethnic studies curriculum to validate students' individuality and learn ways to accept each other in their multicultural background and embrace our similarities."
Thank you both. It's really exciting what we're getting done, although we thought we were going to be in a different place 3 years ago when we started this work. We definitely feel like we accomplished the impossible throughout the past 2 years of enduring other expectations and other things that we took on. I'm really, really proud of both working groups because they remained dedicated and passionate and definitely go over and beyond in many ways. So thank you for that. As far as our next steps as a district, we definitely, as you heard in our hearing, the experience of the staff that are involved in the professional development, for the middle school, since they are our pioneer group, we do plan on creating a sustainable way of recruitment and training of teachers to be able to deliver this curriculum in the long term in future years to come. And so we don't want to lose that authenticity, that development that they're experiencing and that work that they're getting from people who are out in the field. And that's such an important part of our learning and growing, but we definitely need to think about as a district, how do we sustain that? So we are going to try to keep it as authentic as possible and create an experience for future teachers. We also want to continue, obviously, to deliver the curriculum and are planning on meeting this month and next month to develop our delivery plan at the middle school level. We'd like to solidify our delivery model. This was a pilot year. We learned a lot. There's a lot to consider, and so we want to make a thoughtful decision involving all stakeholders and starting to include more decision makers in the district level and site admin, of course, as well. And we definitely will still need to continue to recruit. As you see, we only have 6 teachers right now, which was, an impact on each of the sites and their delivery model. For the elementary school group, we are planning to pilot the curriculum next year, 3rd through 5th grade, and see what we learn through that experience. We haven't quite decided all of the specifics, but as Marianne shared, we have some ideas around what we plan to do next year. And we also need to continue to recruit teachers so we have representation at every site. And we will also be asking them to participate alongside the middle school team when we're developing professional development, as it will most likely be the same experience. There are a little bit of, differentiation we have to make between an elementary school teacher and teaching ethnic studies and a middle school teacher. So those are exciting next steps. I definitely feel confident that we'll be able to deliver on those by the end of the year and continue our efforts throughout the summer and be ready to give you some updates in the near future. And I also just wanted to say that although it's us 3 standing here, we do have folks in the room and folks at home, folks live streaming that are on the team who've been part of the team, who gave contributions in previous years. And I just want to recognize everybody that's been a part of this work. And I just wanted to pay tribute to them. And that's the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from board members?
I just wanted to say thank you. I honestly got chills hearing from the students. When my children were younger, I read them a book called We Are the Same But Different, and having the students realize that having a difficult conversation in a safe space is important for their growth, and seeing the teachers also realizing that is just really awesome to hear. And I'm really just proud to be in this district and to work alongside you all, because we are, training our kids for the future. And if they can make a difference now, who knows what they're going to achieve when they get out of this district. So I'm just super thankful for you all, for everything that you've done and put into this. And I just look forward to hearing the continued progress with this.
Good evening. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. I'm always very proud to be a part of this district, first of all, and then being on the board and to be able to see some of the, I don't want to say wishes, but some the goals that we had over the last, this is my 11th year total, I guess, being on the board with my 1-year absence. But, I remember the conversations that we had. So to see where we are now is delightful. What stood out to me was the fact that the students were able to actually see themselves as leaders, as civil rights leaders. I'm not sure what other class or what other curriculum would lead them to see that in themselves. So that was a highlight for me. And also to hear them say, not just that they related to the content, but that, they identify their ethnic studies as you. So they're talking to us in this room, they're talking to their parents. So they're extending their learning outside of the classroom. And which leads me to my thoughts about sustainability. The teachers that are involved in this don't need to feel isolated. The more that you let the community know what we're doing, I know that you'll get support from regular community members, but especially community-based organizations. I'm sure a lot of them have been waiting for an opportunity to interact with the students in this way. And let's see, I kind of had a lot of notes, so be patient with me. Well, yeah, that's basically the essence of what I'm getting at, is that the students are able to apply what they're learning and, make it relevant in their own lives. And I think that's a great way to get the community involved. Thank you.
Well, ditto to everything that's being said. I'm very pleased with so many of the programs, and I want to thank everyone who's had a part in this, because it takes a village. You've heard that before. It takes a village to educate a child, and I think that we're doing it, and I think we're on the right track. And I'd like to see more. I think we've had some great events recently, and I hope that we'll have many more where we can really show our students how they shine, because they do shine. And they need to know that they're great. And I keep seeing some of these things on TV, in newspapers, and whatever it is. It's all about letting a child know that they're really okay. They're really okay, no matter what. In fact, we had a lot of programs in our district. I don't know if you heard about the "Don't Laugh at Me" thing and all that. So I have volumes of that at home. And it's all because somewhere along the line in someone's life, they were made fun of. And it's not okay. Everybody is welcomed, and everybody is appreciated, and everyone should be patted on the back. And I think we're on that. I think we're on that track. But I'm just saying it's really big out there. It's really big. So thank you for all your efforts.
I just want to echo everybody else's comments, just say thank you for all the teachers and staff for just kind of making this reality. I realized, I forgot when I first started, I know this idea was just like a general idea that didn't actually have curriculum, didn't actually have any backing or any teachers or staff making it happen. So it's just honestly kind of just nice to see that hard work actually does create something that actually is meaningful for our students and our schools. So just want to say thank you for everybody for making it possible. I wish I had this when I was a student. So I feel like in many ways, our students, they are really lucky to get something like this in their education, at least right now. And then just kind of looking forward to seeing how it does in the elementary schools as well too, because I feel that in many ways, learning this at an early year or early part of life actually is a lot more meaningful, especially when it comes to sort of how it applies to everyday, just kind of everyday living and sort of how you look in the mirror as well too. So just want to say thank you for all that as well. Cool. Other than that, I think thank you very much, and thanks for the presentation tonight. Next item is item 8E. Item 8E, C over and company change order request number 2 for Jesd Workforce Housing Project Construction. The administration recommends ratification and approval of change order number 2 with C. Ora over and company for the Jesd Workforce Housing Project Construction for an amount of $1,467,333. Original contract was approved on October 14th, 2022. This will be funded by Fund 40. Ms. Laura.
Good evening. Earlier in the month, in regards to the resolution we passed for change orders to prevent any type of malfeasance and overlooking, we had met with Superintendent Vidalis, myself, and Director of Maintenance Operations, Mr. Heath, as well as our construction manager, RGM Kramer, Mr. Gilchrist. And we went over line by line the types of change orders that the contractor was requesting and whether or not they seemed reasonable and within scope. And just double and triple checking and making sure that, as this major construction project continues to progress, we're keeping a track of the different change orders and making sure that we're definitely staying within our budget, but also the things that are being requested are reasonable and within scope. And Superintendent Vidalis, do you have anything else to add to that?
No, so this is just an opportunity for the board to approve those change orders that were presented and that we discussed and provided direction to the contractor on.
I just wanted to confirm, because I remember we had this conversation before and I had asked a bunch of questions to make sure that we looked at the budget and all of that. And so I think you mentioned that you've done your due diligence, and just for the record, knowing that this is not coming from any other programs or anything, this is truly in the budget. We've looked at the numbers and it's not going to affect us moving this forward.
Yeah, and at least in this set of change orders, these are all based on truly things that were not known when the original bid was made. The changes in code and updates in code that have to be put into place. These were all like, there's really no, and I think our construction manager did a great job at only including those things that there's very little choice on, things that we had to do, and working with Mr. Lauro to try to make sure that there are funds to be able to absorb some of these costs that don't impact other programs.
Yeah, luckily, Ms. Kessler, when we had started this project, we had built in some types of cushions for us to absorb these types of increases in costs. Obviously, we're still trying to mitigate and control those costs within reason. And to second on what Mr. Vidal said, a lot of things are railings, different types of concrete slabs that need to go into for obvious safety reasons and code reasons.
And in the event that, again, I think I asked this question before, they come back with overages for this that, let's say, were not budgeted for, what would be the plan?
The plan would be to meet with our legal counsel as well, to make sure that when we sign, because we had signed this contract such a time ago that there was a not to exceed limit, and we understand to get the project rolling and to get started, there's some things in the last couple of years that have changed due to inflation, supply chain issues, and so there's some flexibility in those regards. But in other regards, we're in working with Mr. Heath and our construction manager and our legal counsel regarding this project. There's some things that we'll be working through that with our legal counsel, but there was a definite not to exceed when we originally signed the contract. But
Trustee Jordan asked most of the pertinent questions, but now you opened up another question for me, which is, when you say changes in codes, can you give us an example?
I wouldn't say changes in codes, but when the original plan is spec'd out, in Daly City, there might be somewhere there might need an additional rail, right? Or the concrete slab to be reinforcing because there are fault lines on the peninsula. So those are the types of things that were added to the change orders to increase the safety of the structure and to meet, within the county of San Mateo, those building codes.
Mm-hmm. So I don't want to go too far into the weeds, but shouldn't those things have been already known? The level of safety that is required to build and whatnot, or were there changes in the law from the city level to?
I'm not sure there were any changes in the law. I think it's becoming aware of the local context. So our architects have designed some things in San Mateo County, have never designed anything in Daly City. Some of these things are, I remember reading through them, like the railings, like we need to have a certain type of railing that wasn't in the architect's plans, but is a requirement to have. And so when the city reviews the plans, they identify all of these things that need to exist in a project for Daly City. So that's most of the items that came up, things that were not in the architect's plan. And so they were not really bid on when the project was put out.
Okay. So moving forward, is there a process to make sure that the next architect, or if we use these architects again, that is explicit so that we don't have to go through this again?
Yeah, hopefully, if we use the same architects, they will have that learning to build on. If we use different architects, there will still be some. This is a common thing that happens with building projects, and like Mr. Lauro said, we did budget for some because we know that it's very common to exclude things and forget things when the architects design something at such a large scale, and then the city reviews it at the minuscule scale. Some things are omitted.
Okay, I understand a little bit more. And then what about, does any of this have to do with the fact that the homes were prefabricated?
Mr. Heath, do you have anything?
Okay.
So a lot of these changes had to do with the fact that the city looked at specific items that weren't in the bridging documents and required additional mitigation for stormwater runoff and other things like that. Code has changed in the last couple of years. They're making us comply to code now, as opposed to the code at the time that we initiated this project. We actually have a benefit from the fact that they're modular, in that the city has no jurisdiction of what goes on inside the modular. NTA, which is a national authority, overlooks that. And that was all approved at the time that the plans were initially put forth. And we got NTA approval very early in the process. So we don't have any changes based on NTA issues.
All right, thank you. The reason why I'm asking just a few extra questions is before there's kind of a narrative that's out there that this is a thing that, developers do, or and so, it's good to know more details about, why these types of things happen. So thank you.
Yeah, and I think that's why when these things come up, Superintendent Vidales and Mr. Heath and I, we try to meet in person. We meet with our construction manager, and if you guys look at the attachment, it's pretty detailed, as in concrete slab, a railing, and the cost per unit, and how much the total cost for all the units. And we go through line by line, and I'm a financial professional, an accountant, and I refer to the professionals that work in the field that are working on our behalf, like Mr. Heath, our legal counsel, and also our construction managers. And we really leverage their expertise and going through these types of changes.
Sorry, I have another question.
It's okay.
What I heard was that we, I guess, approved the budget of what they proposed to us before the city has looked at it and is that correct? And is it because of timing that needs to happen? And the reason why I asked that is because I'm thinking, wouldn't it save us time and get a better accuracy if we got that budget pre-budget and then had the city review it? And then if the city came back and said, these are the adjustments, we could then adjust the budget based on what those adjustments are and then present it and approve. But I'm assuming we can't do that because of timing of moving the project forward. Again, I'm just trying to get some additional clarification there.
Yeah, also it's based upon us getting the permits as well.
This project was a design build project, in that we hired a general contractor. We gave them a set of bridging documents, and then they had to complete the design and then build it. and that was part of their not to exceed costs. The city stepped in at several points, and not just the city, but the city did step in at several points and say, we can't have the stairs be like this, they have to be like this. We don't want the stormwater to go to this street, it needs to go to another street, and those directly affected the cost. There are other processes that we could use. We could do a strictly bid build process where we controlled it differently in the future, but we are in the situation that we are now. And back to the question of whether these types of projects are not commonly done, a lot of hospitality projects, hotels and things like that are done in this manner. They're done as modular, shipped out, stacked, built, and completed. So there is a level of expertise to do that. And we, at the time that we picked the general contractor, we leveraged their level of expertise and their experience in that. A lot of it came, part of it came about as because of COVID and the time that it took us to get permits and code changes that transpired in that 2-year period.
Thank you, and thank you for being patient with our questions as well.
Yeah, this is obviously a major capital project with a lot of nuances that school districts like Jefferson Elementary School District, I don't know if you guys read that the award we had won, but we're the first elementary school district to have workforce housing, I believe, if not the peninsula of the state. So there's going to be obviously small nuances like this. And as we go through it, we're just making sure we do our due diligence to ensure what's being presented to us is factual, and also to protect the financial interests of the district as well.
Thank you. Any other additional comments or questions? If not, this is an action item, so I just need a motion on this item.
I move that we approve the change order for the workforce housing project.
Second.
There's a first and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That was unanimous. Thank you for the answering our questions tonight. Next is item 9A, Certificated Retirements 2021-2022. The administration recommends approval of the retirement requests from the following and requests appropriate resolutions be prepared commending them for their years of service with the district. Phyllis Cunningham, second grade teacher at Daniel Webster, effective June 11th, 2022. Ms. Cunningham has been employed by the district since August 31st, 1990. Heidi Burnham, third grade teacher at Westlake Elementary, effective July 1st, 2022. Ms. Burnham has been employed by the district since November 21st, 1988. And Paul Friedman, eighth grade English and language arts teacher at TR Polosito, effective June 11th, 2022. Mr. Friedman has been employed by the district since August 29th, 2005. Mr. Valentine.
Yes, just want to thank all three of these folks for their service to the district. I did a little quick math, and we have over 83 years of service with these three individuals. I was fortunate enough to work with Heidi when I first started over at JFK as a teacher, and Mr. Friedman when I was a vice principal at TRP. I haven't had the opportunity to work with Ms. Cunningham, but just it's so amazing to have teachers that have such an impact on our families and our students, and I want to thank them for their service and not only recommend their approval of their retirement request, but again, commending them for their years of service with the district. Thank you.
We can speak? Okay. So of course, our thanks, appreciation, and gratitude goes out to these folks for their contribution and service to our students, to the community, and chose the best profession in the world.
I also like to echo Trustee Ali's comments. Thank you for your service. If no other comments, I'd like to make a motion to approve the certificate requirements for 2021, 2022 for Phyllis Cunningham, Heidi Burnham, and Paul Friedman.
First and second, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That was unanimous, and congratulations on all your service with the district, and happy retirement as well, too. So moving along, next item is item 11, persons wishing to address the board. This portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment on or address the board on any issue that is under the board's jurisdiction and not on the agenda. Maximum time allowed for any speaker is 2 minutes. Are there any speakers this evening? First speaker is Christy Lopez, parent at Benjamin Franklin. Oh, also I want to make a note, if there's anybody else attending the meeting in the overflow room, now's public comment, so please feel free to submit a comment at this time too. So Ms. Lopez.
Hi, my name is Christy Lopez, and I have twin boys who are in 8th grade at Benjamin Franklin. I'm here today to inform you all of the lack of leadership and issues of utmost concern that have been going on. Going on at the school. Students refusing to go to class and roaming the halls unsupervised, disrupting classes, pounding on lockers, running through hallways to escape authority, entering classrooms, and sitting in empty seats. Not suspending students for behavioral issues. Example, in an art class, a student threw sculpture through a window during class time and shattered the window. The student was taken out of class and spoken to, apparently receiving no consequences for putting everyone's safety in jeopardy. After-school bus duty is unsafe. At times, there is little to no supervision. The principal punishes and threatens the entire student body for the actions of a few. The 8th graders' traditional Great America trip was canceled, which left them upset with little explanations as to why. In yesterday's daily announcement, he mentions confiscating items deemed inappropriate that were brought to the school, and went on to say, if bringing inappropriate items to school becomes a system-wide problem, then the administration doesn't have the time or the trust to plan and execute the end-of-year field trips. He also came into my son's leadership class and told them to be leaders and to do more to help the situation or else. A few students vandalized the bathroom, and the principal's solution was to close access, which affected all students. As of now, there are only 2 bathrooms open for each gender at the opposite ends of the school. The principal shows blatant disrespect for staff and students. He addresses females in an inappropriate manner, such as baby, baby girl, babe, honey, sweetie, which is not only inappropriate, but makes them feel unsafe. A sexual harassment issue and assault issue that occurred on campus that was completely mishandled.
Mr. President.
The victim's parent tried more than 5 times to report and escalate this to the superintendent's office and received no response.
Excuse me, Mr. President.
Yes. So Ms. Lopez, normally it's 2 minutes, but yeah, if you want to.
I'm just wrapping it up
Cool,
now. Thank you. I stand before you today because I want the best for our kids. And what I briefly outlined for you today are in direct contradiction to the SOAR values that Mr. Passero claims he instills. Safety, ownership, achievement, and respect. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you so much. Next speaker is Carlos Lopez, parent.
I want to say thank you to the presenter. Did a great job for our kids learning. I too have kids at Benjamin Franklin, and I've talked to all their friends, most of their friends, and some of the parents. And I get the same response from everyone, that Mr. Passero is a bully. He talks to students and staff rudely, disrespectful, arrogant, and condescending. I've been told that when he walks into a classroom, the teacher and students get very nervous and uncomfortable. His mere presence brings down the morale and the spirit of the school. I've researched his history in the East Bay school system, and honestly, I'm shocked that he was hired here in Broadmoor, given his track record. He's not a leader, has no leadership skills, in my opinion. Kids and teachers need to feel safe and respected, not scared and intimidated. He needs to step down and be replaced by someone who actually cares about the staff and students' well-being and make Ben Franklin a school where teachers and kids can teach and learn comfortably. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is Lorenzo Lopez, student.
Hello. Hello and good evening. I am Lorenzo Lopez. Those two were my parents who spoke up just a minute ago. And I'm here to back up what they have said in their words. This is quite nerve-wracking in my opinion because our administration is in fact here today, and I do not know if I will face repercussions for such speaking. I've seen students firsthand bring things such as confetti eggs to smash upon their friends' heads, and I have seen them bring water guns to shoot at during passing period lunchtime to shoot at their friends for plain fun. As much as I believe this is, of course, just for the fun, I believe that our students here are demoralized and they do not feel they have received a good year this year. We have had several of our end of the year trips canceled, and very few reasonings were behind such things. While I have seen few announcements discouraging such unacceptable behavior for a school, I have seen very little action that was taken to actually halt such behaviors. And I believe, because I care for my school and I care for the students here, that much more action is going to need to be taken this school year. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. Ms. Covary, are there any additional speakers tonight? Okay, cool. Thank you. I just also want to note for the public that for those in attendance that, as well as those watching online, that the board is legally not allowed to discuss or comment on issues that are not on the board's agenda tonight. But I just want to note that the board, as well as our superintendent, has been listening to all your comments, so those have definitely been noted, and we will also bring them up for future discussion if necessary and appropriate at a future board meeting. So just want to let everybody who gave a comment at tonight's meeting know that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is item 12, governance team member comments, reports, and board meeting reflections. I will start on my left side tonight.
It's good to see so many people here tonight, and I just want to say that our board has been going through a series of trainings on equity, and I see a connection between what we're doing as a board, doing that work, and then what we're doing with ethnic studies on the ground level with the teachers and the administrators. So I'm just pleased that our district continues to be in the forefront. We pioneer, we try things, and if they don't work, then we try something else. So keep up the good work, and I hope to see some of you again at future board meetings.
I echo Trustee Ali's comments. I appreciate seeing everyone here tonight. I actually forgot to mention in my earlier commendation that I had gone to CSBA's student achievement training, as well as student learning and achievement was what it was called earlier this month, and it was very insightful in learning how to engage our students and tracking their achievement and asking those questions. And I think I had mentioned to Superintendent Vidal is that since the pandemic has, allowed us not to be on site, that I am going to make an effort to actually go to all of the school sites, since I actually have not been to every school site outside the ones that my children actually have attended. And so I'm really looking forward to, again, the continued school year as we close it out and us continuing to stay safe.
Well, I don't have a lot more to add to it, but I think we're on the good, well, I don't have a lot more to add to it other than what my colleagues have said. But I think we're pretty well focused on things, and I'm thinking the only thing we have to remember is that it's all about the child. Everything is about the children. No matter what we do, it's to support a child, no matter what challenges that they have at all. It doesn't matter. We have to work as a team to recognize and improve whatever it is we're doing that will help a child. That's why we're here. We're not here because we think we're great. We're here for the children. If we focus on that, we'll never go wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. I will pass it back to Superintendent Pedalis first before I give a comment.
Yeah, I think I just would like to underscore the one guideline that we have, listening actively and communicating openly and respectfully. I felt like that was honored tonight. You got to hear about 2 programs today that have taken a lot of time and a lot of energy, and that you are stewards of our funds, and this is what is being developed. And specific with ethnic studies, the last 2 years have been all about creation of the curriculum, and the challenge for us as a district in moving forward is how do we make this a part of our system, and how do we sustain this? We are not able to provide the same level of professional development that the 6 teachers have received over the last school year to every one of our ethnic studies teacher, but we can provide something that is also good and is also uplifting and is also enlightening. And so the next step for us is to figure out how do we do that in a way that can be sustained, since we used a lot of one-time funds to fund this liftoff. How do we do this as part of our regular budget? So more to come.
Thank you. And just going to echo that. I think just updates on technology and ethnic studies were great to hear, just in terms of what's been done in the last 2 years, regardless of the odds against them. So just wanted to say thanks for those updates as well.
President Koo?
Yes.
I would also like to mention that a few of us went to the San Mateo County School Board Association meeting this Monday. It was also a panel on the teacher workforce shortage and techniques that different districts utilize to try to retain and recruit first and then retain teachers. We heard a lot about, the district's teacher residency program, which was interesting because the teachers they're not interns, they're not student teachers, they're residents, and somehow they get a credential and master's in special ed within 1 year, which I thought was, it sounds impossible to me, but it took me 2.5 years to do it. So anyway, it was interesting finding out about that. And then also workforce housing, which, as we know, the high school district here had the idea first, and then we just jumped right on it as well. And what was the third? The way that Ravenswood School District, actually a lot of you will be interested in this. They raised the salaries of all the employees, from the starting salary to people at the highest step. And now they base the raises not just on, step and column, you've taught a year, so you get more money. You can actually get more money according to your proficiency towards the standards for the teaching profession, which I thought made a lot of sense because you spend a lot of time on that in, the internship program to get your credential and then BITSA or induction. So it made sense to just follow that same format. So it's something that I thought would be worth us looking into as well. And so that was a great training actually this Monday.
Thank you so much. Other than that, next item is adjournment. So we will adjourn tonight's meeting at 7:30, 8 p.m. Or sorry, 8:30 p.m. Thank you so much.
Like I just lost an hour.